Isn't it funny how I just did a YFN Lucci video and all of a sudden a YSL video now has to follow around the same time slot? Well, hey, check it out. This gets crazy, but I'll tell you exactly how we got here. Don't worry. Catch up real quick. Jump back in time to January 17, 2025. It says YSL RICO case, trial set for remaining defendants set for March. No, that didn't happen. So here you go real quick. A pretrial conference for the remaining 3 defendants in the YSL RICO case, Christian Eppinger, Damekion Garlington, and Demise McMullen, began with heated exchanges Friday morning in the Fulton County Courtroom. Paige Whitaker clashed with defense attorneys over requests for additional time to review evidence and file motions. If you interrupt me again, we're going to have a problem. I'm talking. Whitaker warned the defense attorneys. Judge Whitaker expressed frustration over the delays, including a scheduling conflict raised by McMullen's attorney, Terrell Dark, who filed leave for international travel from February 16th to the 28th. While Dark stated the leave was filed in December, Whitaker and her staff said they only became aware of it during the hearing. The prosecution team, led by Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abate, addressed questions about redacting parts of the indictment. Prosecutors assured the court that redactions would be completed by Monday. Eventually, it was agreed upon that jury selection will begin March 3rd. Judge Whitaker plans to call 400 potential jurors, aiming to avoid the 10-month selection process seen in the previous YSL trial. She also stated that the indictment reading would not be as lengthy as the 4-hour process in prior proceedings. Another pretrial conference was scheduled for 9:30 a.m. February 7th. Recent developments in the YSL case. Earlier this week, Tanquarius Mender accepted a plea deal, pleading guilty to weapon and cell phone possession while in custody, and entered an Alford plea to gang charge. Mender was sentenced to 10 years with time served and at least 5 on probation. Then basically we can go here. On the same day, Eppinger appeared in court declining a plea deal for life in prison. He faces charges including attempted murder for allegedly shooting Atlanta police officer David Rogers 6 times in February 2022. If convicted, he could face 2 life sentences plus 100 years. Like, who's going to give a damn about that? But whatever. The backstory. The YSL RICO indictment was filed in 2020 against multiple defendants, including, we ain't finna read all that because we just did that. But here we go right here for the remaining defendants. And really, we already got done with these ones right here. Yak is free, and Yak is Diamante Kendrick. So yeah, there's that. But let's get past this part. So you already know Damekion Garlington, aka Scarface. He's already going to be on there. So next time we talk about this, you guys will be caught up. I can send you back to this right here. So it's perfectly fine. So it says charges for remaining defendants, Damekion Garlington, D or Scarface, right? Conspiracy to violate RICO, attempted murder, Rashawn Bennett, YFN Lucci, Bennett inside Fulton County Jail, 2 counts of participation in criminal street gang, and the murder of Shymel Drinks, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. So yeah, then Demise McMullen, aka Nard, conspiracy to violate RICO, murder, 2025 murder of Donovan Thomas, Christian Eppinger, aka Brisk, conspiracy to violate RICO, armed robbery, hijacking a motor vehicle in the first degree, 2 counts of possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer, theft by taking, 2 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, 3 counts of participation in criminal street gang activity, conspiracy to commit a crime. Basically, he is fucked. But let's get back to it.
Hey, yo, you. Can you subscribe and turn on that bell too? Because when you do, you're helping unbiased, independent news.
Now, the alleged murderer of Shymel Drinks. You already seen my boy go home. Y'all seen SB go home. Y'all seen Shannon Jackson, a.k.a. Shannon Bumpus, a.k.a. Shannon Stillwell. Hey, he beat the charges. They laid out a game plan. So you know what happened today? Yeah, he did a young thug type of plea deal. Gets wild. Check it out. Fani Willis' office drops another murder charge in YSL gang case. Judge expresses surprise at plea terms ahead of sentencing. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Paige Whitaker expressed surprise the murder charge was getting dropped against a YSL. Don't worry, we'll get way more into this. Let me get through with this because I know y'all like, ain't no way in hell. Another alleged Young Slime Life member had his most serious charges reduced in exchange for pleading guilty Tuesday in Fulton County's longest running gang and racketeering case. Damekion Garlington, 29, faced life in prison, plus an additional 35 years after being in the fatal shooting of rival gang member Shymel Drinks and a jailhouse stabbing that injured popular rapper YFN Lucci. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis' office said. This is where it gets a little crazy. So, instead, Garlington entered a non-negotiated Alford plea to 5 charges, including conspiring to violate the state's Racketeer Influence and Corrupts Organizations Act, 2 counts of participating in criminal street gang activity, 1 count of aggravated assault, and 1 count of possessing a firearm during the commission of a felony. By entering a non-negotiated plea, Garlington leaves his fate up to Fulton County Judge Paige Whitaker, who will sentence him Wednesday afternoon. Garlington had faced murder and attempted murder charges, but those counts were reduced in exchange for his plea. Reduced to aggravated assault? Whitaker asked the prosecution's table incredulously. Yes, prosecutor, Simone Hilton replied. The plea takes out another of the most serious charges from the sprawling prosecution of the alleged gang, leaving just 1 murder charge left of 8 original defendants who faced the claim. No one initially charged in the case pleaded guilty to murder, and no one has yet been found guilty of it, despite the fatal events at the center of the prosecution's case. Garlington's sentencing is scheduled for 1 p.m. Wednesday. Garlington entered an Alford plea to each of the 5 counts. In such circumstances, defendants do not admit guilt, but instead acknowledge it's in their best interest to enter a plea. While these events with these unfortunate victims did undoubtedly occur, the question is, what is the extent of my client's involvement? Garlington attorneys Thomas Modelli told the judge. Modelli acknowledged the non-negotiated plea was the right move, especially after Hilton said they plan to introduce a wiretap conversation in which Garlington was reportedly caught on tape discussing some of the alleged crimes. Willis stunned the hip-hop community in the spring of 2022 when she announced that Atlanta superstars Young Thug and Gunna were among 28 people indicted by her office on gang and racketeering charges. Prosecutors accused Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, of being the co-founder and leader of YSL, which they said was an Atlanta-based gang responsible for a rash of robberies, retaliatory shootings, and the deaths of at least 3 people. The first trial took nearly 2 years to conclude, making it the longest in state history. That included a grueling 10-month jury selection process and testimony from more than 175 of the prosecution's witnesses. Fulton County prosecutors are now gearing up for a second trial involving the remaining alleged YSL members who have yet to be prosecuted. With Garlington's guilty plea, just 2 defendants remain, Christian Eppinger, aka Briss, and Demise McMullen. Jury selection is set to begin June 9th, but plea negotiations are still underway, attorneys said. With a new lead prosecutor, whittled down evidence, and fewer co-defendants, this time around, the second trial is expected to take less time. All right. I know y'all got a bunch of questions, Nash. What are you going to tell us that we didn't know or that we forgot about? Well, if you recall, and I'll make this long, drawn-out story short. Remember, we learned about what plume is when people are in the car and allegedly shooting and all this stuff, and how SB didn't have what's called the plume effect, aka the gun residue on him. So none of that stuff existed in that car. Already the legwork was already done. So it would go to stand. It would make a lot more sense that the playbook was there. Now the question then would have been, how stupid would it have been for these cats, aka Simone Hilton and Adam Abate, because y'all know Miss Love is gone. Y'all remember Miss Love getting that letter of approval that you don't want to see your favorite coach get, that letter of approval, like, no, they're going to be here. They're going to be here next year. And the next thing you know, by the end of the next offseason, your favorite coach just got fired. Yeah, Miss Love got one of those emails way back when. We ain't going to pull up all that because it's not necessary. We wish her well, though, don't we? Don't we? Nah, hey. We ain't doing all that. So the same blueprint was there. The same blueprint which said, bro, we just did 2 years of televised trial of Young Thug and his band of bandits who can wipe their nose, and they didn't call a single person for the defense. You telling me that y'all, aka the prosecution, was going to run with that? Yeah, I'm not seeing that either, you guys. So you know what they just decided to do? They just decided to tap out. Shymel Drinks, as far as how it goes, his family's never going to receive justice unless the DA's office learns a thing or two about a thing or two. There should have been an overactive investigation. There is no reason that all 3 of those cars that we had seen There's no reason why all of those drivers should not have been pulled in and questioned. What's wrong with that? I'm not trying to be pro Shymel Drinks family because I don't know youngin or anything like that, but that's just a logistical. I mean, that just makes the most sense. That's the most logic right there. So when we're looking at this, let's be fair to everybody. It seems like they got the wrong person. Matter of fact, the camera shows they got the wrong person. Simone Hilton's closing argument shows that they had the wrong person. The jurors sat there and listened and they got the wrong person. Hell, all they would have had to have done was use Matt Shart's ending closing statement verbatim in their opening. F waiting for the end of this, use that in the opening and shut it all down. It just wasn't going to make any sense. What would have happened was the jurors would have paid attention to all of this crap, and then osmosis would have worked it. They would have said, Brad, you know what else is not going to happen? In the Brisk case too, let's be fair. We did the video. I don't know if they're going to show it there. I don't know. But the Brisk case, bro, you could make a real life case that Brisk might be innocent. Now, definitely shot up Wayne head. Y'all remember the big headed ass goddamn cop that was on there who was acting tough for all of 5 minutes while he was sitting up there grabbing him, and he rolled up and started cussing this man out and started acting like he was really like that, like he was a slave catcher. When he hopped out that car and started calling Brisk boy and was like, boy, you need to, and got his ass lit up and started screaming like a little ass girl. Oh, he shot me. Oh, yeah, no shit. You never properly identified yourself as a cop. Your lights were not on or anything. So then when he asked you, where's the warrant and all this stuff, and you get to grabbing a grown-ass man, you got what you effing deserved. I don't feel bad for that cop. I'm not one of those people who hate police officers either. I'm not one of those. But I will say that cop got exactly what his ass deserved. I'm glad he ain't dead. But they were going to be wasting a lot of taxpayers' dollars. This case probably is going to last. They said initially this should last about 4 months. I think this dwindles it down to 2 because of all the charges. Y'all got to remember, they try to say that he was the one who put the hit on YFN Lucci in the jail. So there's that. But here's the kicker. This is the biggest thing y'all got to take away from this. He's doing the exact same shit Young Thug did. Yeah. That's why the title is like that. Y'all was waiting for this part. I know, my bad for holding it. But he did the same exact stuff Young Thug did. Remember, Thug entered a non-negotiated plea. He left all the cards on the table for Paige Whitaker to do what she did. Which, at first, sounds crazy. Because if this was Glanville, y'all know Glanville would have sent his ass to the abyss. Y'all already know that part. So we don't even trust Glanville. Shout out Uncle Glanville. I miss you, man. But yeah, he's doing the exact same thing Young Thug did. So I'm curious, what the hell's going to happen? Because if we going to keep the right energy and the same energy for everybody, what if she doesn't, meaning Paige Whitaker, Judge Whitaker, Slatty, what happens if she decides to throw the whole effing book at him and sends him to spend some time in a Georgia State prison? What happens then? How we feel about that? Because you can look at it in a couple of ways. Young Thug doesn't have any violations while he was in jail. Demise McMullen does. So what's going to happen with that? But then you also have where we found out it was the cop bringing those phones. It was the cop bringing all this contraband. Rice Street is AKA Knife Street for a goddamn reason. So now you in gladiator school. So now she might look at him with the lens of Diamante Kendrick. Because look at what she said. Her response was, what? Y'all dropping what? Aggravated assault, y'all getting rid of that? Which means the case is weak. We'll see, man, because she used to be a lawyer, man, so I don't know. What am I expecting? Probably 10 years probation, time served. He already basically just did 3 years, so he's about to go home. And that's going to be that, bro. But y'all let me know what y'all think, because it is highly possible that she look at those charges and look at them differently. It's very possible, because even though I'd say Yak Gotti's name, you can show a little sympathy for Yak because he did all this time and was found not guilty. That's completely different. On this one, hell if I know. But subscribe, turn that bell, stay notified, share to keep your people aware. Hit that like button like you like something. Can we get this up to 7K likes? And also, hey man, we are 59K away from that Xbox and that PlayStation giveaway. So subscribe today. Bro, we've been going up with the numbers. So jump in right now. I'll catch you on the next one.